Sup flappers, now we've all seen people spend money in Genshin, and at times I'm sure most of us have wished we could splurge on certain banners or get a shiny weapon for our husbandos or waifu. But as someone who has, in a way, experienced both sides of spending and not spending, I'm here to tell you all today that free-to-play players, spenders, how we really should be maximizing our resources, be it in-game or external currencies, as well as why dolphins currently are likely enjoying Genshin Impact far more than whales, leviathans, of course free-to-play as well. Now, if you have a few moments to spare, I would like to talk to you a bit about my subscribe button. It's actually just a tad south of this video you are watching, so please, if it's not too much trouble, may you please give it a gentle click and turn on all notifications. Anyways, let's talk about spending in Genshin Impact. So much like any other games, spending money in Genshin of course offers perks and benefits, although the game certainly does not encourage spending, nor is it really necessary. In fact, the game is generally balanced with its cast of characters you can pick up for free versus the more expensive counterparts. When we talk about general value in spending, you can't beat the battle pass, which has a price tag of $10 for the amount of stuff you get. This would be the best, but of course not everyone can splurge $10 on the game, and the second best option then would be the Welcome Moon. But of course you all likely knew this prior to even watching this video, and it's not that you're undecisive, but rather you simply don't have the money to spend. So what about the free to play players and other tiers of spenders? Is there a universal way to optimize your gameplay to get the most out of what you have? Well, that's what we'll be discussing in this video. Resource management is a word often thrown around by players, and it's incredibly vague, and to be quite honest, it's different for everyone. Let's say endgame players who are sitting at AR 55 likely won't lose out on resin capping versus a player at level 35, because the sooner you reach AR 40, the more you can use resin for better gains, right? The player who is above AR 40, your resin is just gonna be worth that much more. So prior to that, your entire goal should be getting yourself to AR 40. The same can be said for Mora or Mystic Enhancement ores. These resources can be easily overlooked towards the later stages of the game, and even daily commissions become rather preferential. However, early on, these things should never be maxed out, and you should be playing the game highly efficiently up until I'd say AR 40. Then you can take the game a little more lax, but of course you're still quite a bit away from being able to drop the game for, let's say, 5 to 10 days and come back to it without really losing out on much. There does come a time in everyone's account that you'd actually gain more efficiency by starting to use the extra primo gems to do one refresh per day versus using them to get new units. Because how many main DPS do you really need? How many more waifus are we going to collect? If your goal is to beat the game with a couple of your favorite characters and have teams built for all types of enemies, you likely can stop pulling for characters and focus more on the ones you currently have. But of course, that's not why you are playing this game. Most of us are here to meet new waifus and husbandos, so primo gems oftentimes are stockpiled and used for summons. Talking about efficiency, I do have to mention the different tiers of spenders. So obviously we have the free to play, followed by the fish or shrimps who get welkins or BPs, and then the dolphins who, on top of getting welkins and BPs, do buy some primos when a character they really want do arrive, but of course they can't afford to do this for every single character. Then of course we have the whales who get the BPs and the welkins every single month without fail, who also spend what they need to secure every unit, and oftentimes can also afford to min-max on a couple constellations here and there, and even get signature weapons for special waifus or husbandos. Finally, we have the leviathans who are C6 on every character and have refinement 5 weapons, right? These players lives and breathe primo gems. Now, I honestly think that dolphins are the players who get to play Genshin Impact to the fullest extent, and if you are honestly here to enjoy the game, getting the Welcome plus the BP will be more than enough to assure you a top-notch Genshin experience. If you don't pick up both, you do run dry of resources and are often left to just waiting. The shrimp spenders feel like they are often left needing more, and the free-to-plays are also not getting enough resources. And when it comes to optimizing your gameplay through polling for characters, it's often left to luck. Dolphins are able to secure characters when their preparations fall slightly short, and with how powerful certain units are in the game at Constellation 0, it cannot be stressed enough how important it is to plan for and secure universally functional characters. So some of these characters are Venti, Zhongli, Bennett, Fischl, and Diona. And as you can see, there are 3 units mentioned that are actually 4-star units. I do think if any of these 5 units appears and you as a player who is serious about optimizing your account and you don't have them yet, you should definitely pick them up. Now, this can get very complicated, so I'm going to give you a very rough idea of what you should be prioritizing, right? Of course, prioritize Venti, Zhongli, C0 first. This should be your priority. Then go into Bennett, Fischl, and Diona. For each of these characters, getting them to Constellation 1 is more than enough. You see, when it comes to why these units are so desirable and on high tier lists, is not just they are good units, but they also require very little constellations to be at full power. And this you will find is a common theme through Genshin Impact. If you are looking at your account and thinking, what is next? What do I need? And you either already finished collecting your waifus or husbandos, so nothing on the horizon really interests you, it's at this time you should be looking towards the 5 units I mentioned previously. And for the 4 stars, look to get them to constellations I mentioned. Following this, you want to prioritize them in this order. Level all to level 60, Ascension 4 to unlock their entire kits. From here, get Zhongli up to maybe Ascension 5, level 80 out of 90, just to get his raw stats up higher. He does really need it. Then Bennett to as high as you are comfortable with, preferably Ascension 6, as leveling him is the only way to really boost his raw damage, or you'd have to resort to getting better weapons for him. And chances are we might get into 5-star weapon territory, which is just RNG. Trust me, these 2 work really well with decent investments. Followed by this, Fischl should be also leveled, but it's not a priority because as long as you have decent artifacts on her, she can get the job done. And finally, Diona is much more for utility than actual stats, so if you don't want to level her past 60, Ascension 4, that is okay. Venti works fine at level 60, Ascension 4, and many people are worried that leveling him higher than this will make him lift enemies higher, which results in bad synergies with certain units, but that's just like worrying about getting an awesome promotion at work with a huge pay raise because you have more responsibilities to deal with. It's definitely something to consider, but the pros heavily outweighs the cons here. Have you also noticed that these units are also not mentioned to be used as the main DPS? While Fischl C1 can certainly be your main DPS, that's not the reason why she is heavily suggested for players to build into. The real reason here is because the main DPS can be easily replaced and to a certain extent can be ever-changing due to whom you have on hand. The fact that these 5 units can fit almost every single team in the game is where their value truly is. This video is about account optimization and efficiencies. This is what all players should aim to have their accounts before going off into more preferential resource allocation. And with the upcoming Zhongli banner as well as the free Diona from events, I urge everyone here to prepare themselves to take their accounts to the next level if they have not done so already. Thank you all for watching this video. I hope those who are missing Zhongli will get him without trouble. So until tomorrow's video, everyone, stay safe and peace.